And hello, everyone, and welcome to today's workshop. I'm here with Ragavan, and with special guest Daniel from Red Hat. And today is going to be a workshop about Quarkus and Cassandra. Let me fix some tiny glitches here, and I think we are good to go. So, Rags, hi, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Somehow I like saying that. My name is Ragavan Srinivas, but I go by Rax because people have a tough time pronouncing my name. I don't know why. Really, we are here to talk about the platform Quarkus, which simplifies the inner loop. And by inner loop, what I mean is, before you push it to a more robust CI/CD kind of cycle. When you do this over and over again during the day, you want to be able to do it in a productive manner. And today we're going to talk about that. I'm a big fan of distributed systems, and simplifying that. Kubernetes has taken it make it a lot easier, but I think we can go one step further, and we'll see that today with Quarkus.
Yeah, so thank you. And today we have a special guest. Daniel, welcome. Hi, how are you doing?
Thank you so much, Stefano. Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome to the hands-on experience session today. So my name is Daniel. I'm working for Red Hat as a technical marketing major, as well as a developer advocate, specialized for cloud-native runtime like a Quarkus, Spring Boot, Node.js, and a Vertex. And I'm spend a little bit more time to integrate the Kubernetes platform with the cloud-native runtime for serverless and service mesh capabilities. I'm also CNCF and DevOps Institute ambassador. So if you have any question around the CNCF project or how to build your cloud native runtime and architecture and the platform and best practice, just let me know. Here's my all information. You can see my Git repository and Twitter, my YouTube channel. Yeah, feel free to steal any demo environment from my Git repository and Twitter and my YouTube channel.
Perfect. And again, Daniel, for those who come from the Java world and who may not know about CNCF, the cloud CNCF stands for the Cloud Native Compute Foundation. And by the way, both Daniel and I are from the Java side of the world. I, in fact, have my T-shirt which says Java 10th birthday, which is a long time ago, yes. But I think it's pretty cool that Java has withstood the test of time and really doing quite well, especially with innovations and platforms like Quarkus and so on. So with that said, let's move on because we have a lot of material to cover. We have a big team also helping us. It's not just Stefano and myself. We do have support from a lot of people who you may not see, in camera, but they're definitely helping us in the background. So with that said, what are we going to do now? We going to Menti, right, Stefano? Keep us on track here.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Let's first. Okay. So we have presented. We introduced ourselves. Now let's give everyone time to gather. And before we start with the actual content, we want to know something about you, something about our audience. So that's why we are going to have some questions for you. Now, when I say questions, you might think, oh, there is a quiz. I have the chance to win swag. And the answer is, yes, you do, but not yet. Now, these questions are just for us to get to know you better. Now, let me test if this bot today, I managed to make it work properly. Menti, let's see, there are a few bang commands that, yeah, Nightbot is there. So Menti, okay. Well, you see Nightbot helping us. So there are some bang commands. Somehow Menti is not among those. I thought so. So I got it wrong. But anyway, so by the end of today's workshop, there will be a quiz. And there you will have the chance to win some swag. By the way, very cool stuff. Sponsored by Red Hat, by Quarkus themed, Quarkus themed jackets. In the meantime, we just want to ask you some things to know you better and to make you familiar with Menti. So please, we ask you to go to menti.com with your phone, for example, and enter this code, 208699468. Now, if you go to Menti,
or you can even scan the QR code, right?
Yeah, you can scan the code you see on screen. Yeah. So, okay, now these are just questions about you. Later, there will be the quiz, and I'll tell you already this. Please stay connected to Menti, so you get to the end connected already for the quiz, and there you will have to answer fast and correct. But now it's just to know you. So, we are asking you what part of the world you're from. So where are you tuning in from? I see Germany or Netherlands, looks like. The dot is too big. UK.
Great Britain. Nobody from India?
Canada, well, give them time. So we have, let's give our attendees a bit more time to connect. So yeah, you just go to menti.com and enter this code. Yeah, we start gathering some results. So there is someone from India, it seems. Someone more from Iran. Yeah, Majid, you should connect to menti.com with your phone, for example, and answer the question there. So, because otherwise, if you do that during the quiz, if you answer in the YouTube chat during the quiz, well, you will not be eligible for the prizes. So, Italy. There's someone from Italy? Ah, cool. Ciao. Okay, so let's see.
So we have only like 9 people submitted, right? Maybe wait for a little bit. So warm up people.
Let's wait a little more.
Yeah, give it a couple of minutes.
Brazil.
You don't need to be 100% accurate.
Yeah, just to have an idea, you know.
Yeah, where are you guys from?
Someone from Brazil.
Nobody from Australia, New Zealand? I guess not. From Iran?
Well, maybe for time zone reasons also.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know what time it is.
And Sara.
Stefano.
Sara from Italy.
I know it's already 9 o'clock, right? For you.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock p.m. But it's 9 o'clock for Sara as well because she's from Italy. I'm also based in Italy, by the way. Ciao. Okay, so we can go ahead, I think.
Yeah, all right. Let's go. So what's your experience level with Cassandra? Beginner, mostly? Experienced developer, okay.
Okay, so let's see. There are many beginners. Yes,
right.
Makes sense because these workshops are aimed, among other things, at giving some first beginner knowledge to about Cassandra. So if you are a beginner, you've come to the right place. We have some experienced developer because yes, there is always something to learn. And sometimes also NoSQL gurus come here to our workshops because also they might learn some new tricks. Okay, welcome everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very late in India, Xar. Welcome, hi. We know you. Louise. Okay, so.
All right, moving on. Next one. Next question.
Next question.
How experienced are you with Java? I already told you, I'm pretty experienced. But feel free to put in what your experience level is. A little, okay, to be expected. Greater than 10 years, watch out. 2 to 5 years, yeah. Java coffee, yeah. Yeah, okay. Don't be shy, come on.
So I think, again, there is something to learn for everyone, whether you're experienced or you're beginner to Java. And that will be because, that will be clear later because our good guest, Daniel and Rags, will speak extensively about very nice features.
Yeah, and just
Quarkus.
In case people joined late, you just go to menti.com and enter the code 28699468. Okay.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
All right. Should we move on?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, we have a sampling, and this is not completely. We ran this workshop yesterday too, and it's not substantially different from yesterday either, right? Yeah, we had bigger numbers there, but the next question: have you used Quarkus before? One, okay.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of answer is maybe. So one might find themselves having used that without knowing that, maybe because it was embedded in some other packages, or
I just thought I'll put the maybe.
yeah,
And
okay.
while we are
someone
doing
clicked
this,
that. So
that was
maybe.
me. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So while we are doing this, I have a question for Daniel. Any idea how the name Quarkus came, or do you want to shed some light on that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a really good question. So the Quarkus came from the quark. Quark is the physical term, like a quantum. It's a very small, tiny material, something like a quantum. It's a quark. It's a very tiny things because the quark is supersonic and it's subatomic.
Okay.
So we can create a very small, tiny application artifact. And us means just us engineering thing. So we actually engineered a new Java framework to make it super fast and subatomic. And then that is the hardest part for us. So us came from that meaning, and the quark meaning super tiny subatomic thing from physics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, very geeky answer. I love it.
One very interesting joking when I explained this thing at the very beginning of the Quarkus release. One of my big customers, they said, "Why don't you just name it on Ant-Man, like the Marvel movie?" But I said they are a huge copyright to, use Ant-Man for the Marvel MCU and Disney, something like that. Yeah, just
okay. Now I have to add one thing to this, Daniel, because a piece of trivia about me: I am a theoretical physicist. So I wondered whether Quarkus was named because of the quarks, and now I know they are subatomic and everything. So
yeah,
I know quarks a lot. I like them. And yes, when you say they are very tiny, you are understating actually, because they are thought to be point-like, no dimension at all, like a point, a geometric point. At least that's what is considered now the truth. But anyway, let's move on. Let's go back to to the topic. And
so let me, this is the agenda. We will be spending maybe about 20-25 minutes on 1 and 2, which is Quarkus and Astra. We'll give you an introduction of what that is. Already had a little bit of introduction of what Quarkus is, right? We will talk about Astra and how the kind of two work together. It's really about responsive platforms and our reactive platforms and responsive data, and you kind of put them together. And like what Nicholas Wirth said a long time back, about 50 years back, still very applicable in the day of microservices. You want the startup time to be really fast. You want it to be really quick because these are all services that you're going to put together to build your solution. So we're going to take a look at these two platforms, and then we're going to spend most of our time in the hands-on. And this is the part where we will see a lot of the Quarkus platform in action itself. And then, I'll show a deployment to Kubernetes as well today. We will not do it in the Git part, but I'll show it to you anyway. Okay, with that said, Daniel, all yours.
Thank you so much, Rex. And so today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Quarkus real quick, because I don't want to spend a lot of time. This is the boring test, because you got a little more focused on the hands-on experience for get hands-on theory. Okay, next slide, please. So the reason why we invented Quarkus as the new cloud level Java framework, because the Java was born back in 1995, something like that, almost 26 years ago, is provide the new application runtime with the high network throughput and the 24/7 all the time running, and just running on a few application server over internet technology, which is awesome at that time. But we move forward to immutable infrastructure, aka Kubernetes, to run a single small microservices as a pod, as a containerized application own hybrid or multi-cluster. And then the Java has a great technology and behavior like a dynamics and dynamic behavior thing, but that's not good feature or benefit in new cloud native architecture. That's why we change a lot of stuff. If you go into next slide, please. So we a little bit more focus on container first because all traditional Java framework, including Spring Boot, was born for Kubernetes and Linux container packaging technologies. So they are all traditional Java cloud, Java stack, a little bit more optimized along with this new technology, but still not enough. So that's why people say, oh, Java is a pretty heavyweight and pretty slow to run Amazon Lambda. That's true. So the Quarkus fixed that problem. So as you can see, like a RESTful API application or CRUD, like a data transition application, you can see the Quarkus actually provide the JVM, but also native compilation feature. So with that, Quarkus plus native, you just need 60 milliseconds to start up and the first response to your application. But the same application business logic, it takes more than 4 seconds with the traditional cloud native stack. As an example, Spring Boot. So it's more than 60% less memory footprint and 300 times faster than existing Java application. Next slide, please. And there are more than just performance for operation team. For developer standpoint, you got a lot of the awesome and amazing feature to improve developers' productivities. As an example, you have a zero configuration and live coding, which allows you to change the code. It automatically compile, rebuild, reboot your runtime, which means the developer doesn't need to do that manually, but actually you do every single day as your daily life. But you just get rid of that thing as a part of the inner loop development process. So now you just focus on the application development implementation and also the dev services, which allows you to stand up automatically like a database container image, like a PostgreSQL or messaging server, Kafka, or single sign-on for Keycloak container image automatically during the live coding. You don't need to use Docker Compose. You don't need to use Docker CLI, something like that. Also, there are dev UI, the CLI. Just click on the documentation link or demo video link YouTube channel. You can find all detail how it works, their technologies. Next slide, please.
Yeah, I think Daniel's mention of the inner loop, I think cannot be really overemphasized. The productivity gains that you get in inner loop is immense, and I think small changes there is gonna make you take big steps, really.
Thanks for that. Yeah, absolutely. And then the another thing is it's a little bit more reactive thing. So in a modern application architecture, a lot of enterprise companies move forward to reactive architecture and system, integrate with the Kafka backend system or a little bit more reactive thing because all application pattern domain don't need to be served as the real request and response like a synchronized application. So with that pattern and trend, the reactive application might be not option for your new cloud native or modern architecture, but developer have a big burden to run something new reactive thing. For example, Spring Reactive is totally different existing Spring, just Spring Boot application architecture. But Quarkus actually solved that problem for developer. You just keep developing the same application class method, but you just differentiate it in pattern like request response, the traditional microservices, and reactive microservice application using by different annotation. The left side injection is the CDI bin, like a auto wire annotation, like a Spring Boot, and then you get annotation is a request mapping like a Spring Boot, but right side you can see the same method and class, but you're going to see the different annotation here, the channel qualifier, and you can actually add outgoing, incoming annotation which allows that method to consume message from event server like a Kafka, or send out message to Kafka server, something like that. Next slide, please. So here's how to doing the traditional Java framework, build time, just packaging. And the runtime, there are a lot of stuff happening underneath, like parsing configuration and loading configuration, and the parsing and scanning annotation, and the parsing descriptor, and the enable disable some feature, and then at the last moment, the JVM actually start the process of thread to run your business logic. So that's why Java takes a long time to start. Even that is a few seconds, like a 5 second or 6 seconds, but it's still too slow for serverless application like Amazon Lambda for cold start strategy. Next slide, please. As you can see, the Quarkus changed everything. The most required job shift from right to left at build time. So right runtime, we only focus on just application running. And the build time, you can do that everything that build time. That's why we can call Quarkus supersonic subatomic. Next slide, please. And then there are two options for developer to packaging application. One is the general artifact like a Java file running on JVM using Java command line, or running on like embedded Tomcat, something like that. But also you have native compilation, native executable file like a Go program language. You don't need it to JVM any longer to run it. It's just running on GraalVM using substrate VM, and you just use a GraalVM compiler to packaging that in. So but you can actually do GraalVM native compilation in native way, but it's totally hard to understand how to use Java abstraction, and a lot of stuff like a native build thing is totally different syntax and knowledge compared to the general Java technology. But Quarkus, you could just focus on general Java application implementation, and the framework will take care of all native compilation behind the scenes. Next slide, please.
Yeah, and I think Daniel, you were absolutely right about shifting left, right? Yesterday when we did the workshop, people were impatient when the native image was getting generated because it took like 6 or 8 minutes or whatever. But the moment it booted up, everybody was like, yeah, that makes sense now, because you want to minimize the runtime and take as much penalty as you want on the build time, so that your services are really, really fast. All right, Daniel.
Sure. Yeah. So at least for the last, this is still standard Java framework. You don't need to run something new, like some specific API or SDK technology. It's all from existing open source project. For example, Cassandra and a Kafka or single sign-on, or through Prometheus for observation and moderation. You just use that thing with the standard Java API. So it's a pretty simple, it's a pretty intuitive to use existing application library, and also develop business logic.
Yeah, and I also want to stress one more thing is, like, you can still use the same IDE that you used to, right? If you love IntelliJ, go ahead with it. If you like Visual Studio, fine, you can still use that. You are still going to use Maven. All the tools that Java developers are used to, you're going to still use that. And actually in today's workshop, I don't think we are introducing a new tool other than Gitbot, which makes it just more easier. I mean, it easier to use, right? But other than that, you're still going to use Maven. You're still going to use the Java compiler, and of course, you have the GraalVM to generate the native image. But we'll look into that in a bit.
Sure, awesome. And then this is almost my last slide. I actually a couple more of that, but this is additional resources here. So what kind of use cases you can do that with the Quarkus? You can do everything here. You can develop the traditional microservice for data transaction. You can develop reactive application for binding your backend Kafka server. You can have a more modern cloud-level applications such as a serverless function. You can have the job batch thing, more traditional use cases, or you can have the DevOps practice like a operator to create you don't need to run Go or Python, something like that. Next slide, please. So here's interesting for you, specifically Spring Boot developers. So we published a new ebook. You can download the developer at redhat.com. There is a QR code. You can just go to that URL, download it, and a free sign up. And my colleague Erick and myself and one of the engineering team lead, we wrote this book. It's to give us some really good example how to convert the Quarkus Spring to Quarkus, and then you can figure out what kind of differentiators and the similarity between Quarkus and Spring Boot to develop multiple use cases like a data transaction, RESTful API, and event-driven application and cloud deployment, etc. Next slide, please. So one more thing, as said here, the D-Zone reference card, I recently wrote this one and published this in. So you can download for free as well. You can learn how to get started with the Quarkus serverless function, not just one specific serverless platform. You can develop one single serverless function on Quarkus and then make it portable, which means you can deploy multiple serverless platforms for Amazon Lambda, Google Function, Azure Function, and on-prem Kubernetes Knative even without any code change. Just change a little bit the configuration because you need to set it up the target serverless platform. But business logic still there without any code change. Next slide, please. Okay, that's all I got. I'm going to hand it over back to Rex.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. And I know that Daniel is back to back today with virtual, different conferences. So if you have any questions on Quarkus, it may be a good time to ask Daniel right now. He's going to be around for a little bit, but he probably has to take off towards the end. So with that said, let's move on to Astra. Okay, and let's look at, again, going back to what I started earlier is about reactive apps. And reactive apps are great by itself, but you need the data also to be responsive, right? And traditionally, data, you didn't really distribute it across multiple nodes, but Cassandra has traditionally always been a distributed database. It's the world's most scalable database. It's used by really a lot of the companies that you can think of who are kind of born, not really born in the cloud, but who do a lot on the cloud, right? Like the Apples, the Netflixes, and so on. I think one of the other companies that we talked to, they said we haven't rebooted our Cassandra node in like 7 years or something like that. So it's really about high availability, being able to distribute it geographically, and so on. The main focus has always been on highly responsive data. And how do we do that? It's very simple. It's really based on like a key value pair, right? If you think about it, we have what is referred to as a partition key, and the partition key will distribute the data across, make sure that there are multiple copies so that if one of the node goes down, you're still able to serve the data from the other nodes and so on. Obviously, there is a lot more to this than I'm saying, and my oversimplification of this is that it's like a distributed hash table, right, or a distributed, essentially a hash set or whatever you want to, kind of think about it as. But the nice thing is that the platform takes care of kind of doing the data durability, distributing it, and what happens when you have to kind of redistribute the data. All of that is we don't need to worry about it. The platform takes care of it, right? So you can see here the data being distributed based on the partition key. And again, I think one of our colleagues, Patrick McFadden, talks about this. You don't let your friends shard the data. If you have to shard the data yourself, it's prone to all kinds of errors. There are lots of issues behind that. Cassandra automatically takes care of that for you. You can distribute the data. You can, if you want, you can install it on premise, or you can install it on your favorite cloud. Today you will see an example of where I've installed it on a Google Cloud. And actually I've used Cassandra, which is really Cassandra running on Kubernetes. Okay, so once you have Cassandra running on Kubernetes, we have what is referred to as operators. You can install it very easily on the different clouds. I've installed it myself on a number of different clouds. What are good use cases for Cassandra? Really, when you want scalability, when you want availability, when you want distributed, and really cloud native, right? That's when you can do the horizontal scaling because if you think of vertical scaling, at some point you're going to hit the limit. But with horizontal scaling, in theory, it's really unlimited, right? You can add more nodes, and Cassandra actually linearly scales, right? Which is very unique of Cassandra. It doesn't always work that way because at some point you have what it called as it becomes counterproductive and it levels off. But with Cassandra, it keeps going up. Okay, but really, mission critical, high throughput, high volume, heavy writes, heavy reads, a lot of different use cases, and it still keeps ticking. Okay. So what is DataStax Astra? It's Cassandra made easy in the cloud. Think of it as database as a service, Cassandra as a service, okay? I talked to you about kind of installing Cassandra on Google Cloud. I have to maintain a lot of things myself, and you will see today, when I bring that up, I'll just kind of walk you through it. I have to make sure that, those nodes are running okay. I'm not, maximizing on the data space and so on. There are a couple of things that I'll have to worry about, but you leave the headache to us, right? And that's really what DataStax Astra is. It's basically, database as a service, Cassandra as a service. It takes care of a lot of the things that you don't need to worry about, but it also provides, from a developer perspective, and that's why you guys are here, it provides you with a Stargate API, which is a unifying API, and will provide you with REST, GraphQL, SQL, and gRPC that we'll talk about in a little bit. In fact, it's proven that the total cost of ownership of Astra is much higher, or I should say, is much better than just using open source Cassandra. We can talk about Astra migrations from an existing like on-premise to a cloud or from one cloud to another. We can make it a lot easier for you to be able to do it. So let's specifically now dive into Quarkus plus Cassandra. And central to this is what we're going to see in today's workshop, which is the Quarkus Cassandra extension. Basically has driver support. It has object mapper support, which is really the object to relational mapping, if you think about that. Although Cassandra is not a relational database, you still want to kind of use the same kind of abstraction that you used to, right? Where you want to map it as like an object and be able to use it. There's support for mutiny types, which are the reactive types, and then there is support for other things as well. You'll see today how we're going to use Astra. All that you're going to do is you're going to point it to a secure connect bundle, and we'll see that, and we'll point it to a key space, and then provide the username and password details, and you're up and running. Okay, and you will do this all in the workshop yourself. Okay, so you're going to download the bundle and so on. Yesterday I said, is SQL session really reactive? And the answer is yes. The SQL session, the SQL drivers actually have reactive, and that's what we're going to use today. But if you really split hairs and kind of look at the program that that you're going to look into today, it's technically not a completely reactive application. The focus really was more on kind of the reactive platform that's Quarkus, right? Because what I use is result set, but you really want to use a reactive result set, which is when you get the real power of reactive programming. But not to worry, because you're still gonna go through the platform, the Quarkus platform, and figure out a lot of these stuff. And also we have gRPC coming. gRPC is kind of the cool way of doing the cloud native way of calling SQL, if you will. It's kind of a standard industry technology that the SQL is also adapting. Today it looks something like this. The Java driver called SQL, and going forward, you're going to call the gRPC library, which underneath called SQL, because you still want to use some of the other objects that you can use with SQL. But essentially, you're going to call the gRPC library, which uses SQL underneath. So make it kind of combines the best of both worlds. We're going to learn. We're not going to look at too much into the data access object and the data transfer objects and so on. But there are examples that I'll point to, and actually the homework kind of goes through that. So if you're interested in doing the homework, you can definitely look at one of them. But ideally, again, you want to use the same abstractions that Java programmers are used to, and you can do that using the data access object, data transfer objects, and so on. And the mutiny types is where you can again do reactive, and this is a small snippet which kind of talks about that. Okay. Like I said, Astra provides a number of different endpoints. It's based on what is referred to as the Stargate APIs. And the Stargate APIs just provide you with a way to do it using REST, which is done frequently, right? And provides you with a Swagger API or Open API, as it's referred to these days, right? And then not only that, it also does GraphQL and SQL, of course. Okay. And then there is the Java SDK and the JavaScript SDKs as well that you can use. But I think I've talked too much. So time to do some live coding, right? So how do we start off? Stefano, you're gonna walk through this. One of the if you don't mind me, kind of giving some instructions right up front, is as soon as you're done with a particular exercise, just give a thumbs up. Exercise 1 done, exercise 2 done, exercise 3 done, or whatever, so that we know where you are. We're going to try to keep our instructions to the minimal, because I don't like somebody talking behind me, when I'm working. But what we tend to do is, periodically we check on you and make sure that you're doing okay. And especially if you're stuck, we'd like to kind of help you and kind of walk you through it. Okay.
Yeah.
With that said, let's move on to the live coding part.
Okay. So Rax, if that's okay, I will just show the first part.
Yeah.
So deploy a database. Let me switch to my screen.
Yeah. If you want to bring up the GitHub instructions that everybody's
exactly. So as Rax was saying, maybe my screen is sorry. I better just notice that my screen is a bit off. And I have to find a way.
You want me to do it, or?
No, it's okay. I just have to resize my screen. Otherwise, we might end. There might be something falling over.
Gotcha.
Okay, it's harder than it seems. So
while you're looking at this, basically what we're doing is we're using this thing called Gitbot, and Stefano will explain this in a second. But you can see that it's installing the Graal VM, which is what is used to, like I said, generate the native image, and then it's setting up, like the Java path.
Okay.
You can grab the screen whenever you want.
I think we are ready. Okay, I just resized my screen to avoid hiding something with ourselves. Okay, so as Rax said, we don't like to guide you step by step and keep talking while you are doing your stuff, because hands-on, we are strongly believers in hands-on by yourself, but still we will demo some parts and guide you lightly through today's exercise and practice. For that, we have a set of instructions packed in a repository. Let's see if I configure this one the right way. Apparently, yes. So, okay, you will find in the YouTube chat a link to a GitHub repository, which I'm going to show you. And this is it. So you are seeing now the contents of this repository, which is, okay. By the way, there was a question before we started with the practice. Maybe there was a question about whether we can use ORM solutions such as Hibernate together with Quarkus. Maybe I would like to turn this question to Rags or maybe Daniel.
Daniel, you want to take it? Can you use ORF?
Yeah, sure. Yes, the short answer, you can use that. So Quarkus provide the Hibernate ORM extension as well as Hibernate ORM with the Panache. So you can actually actively record a pattern or a project pattern, just like a Spring Boot. But it's more than that. Like with the Panache and Hibernate ORM, you don't need to skip like a getter setter or some of the pre-statement SQL query, because Quarkus automatically bind that thing based on your Java method. I'm going to put in the chat a little more detailed documentation.
Okay.
That'll be great. Okay.
Cool. Okay, so thank you. So let's go back. I'm still trying to, that's okay. We will keep this small green strip anyway. Okay, so let's go back to the repository. Okay, so in this repository, you will find instructions not only for today's practice together, but also in case you want to do that later, whenever you feel like doing at your own leisure, you can go ahead through this repository here, and there will be detailed instructions for you to be able to self-service, to do a self-service kind of a usage of this practice. So that's why I'm going to skip a few things that we've been already telling you. And first step of today's practice is let's set up our database. Our database will be so each one of you will have your own database instance, which is going to be an instance hosted in the Astra DB. Rags told you already what Astra DB is. It is a nice, fully managed database in the cloud, managed for you based on Apache Cassandra and available for you for free. So there is no need to fret, to worry. We will just register on that, and you will be able to, in a few clicks, you will be able to create your own database, which will be yours forever within a very wide free tier. So let's first. Okay, so we are at step 1, create your Astra DB instance. And to do that, I will first give you a link. Let's see. You should get a link in the YouTube chat. Okay, so let me paste it. I think I still have to learn all of the tricks with this bot, but no problem. There we go. There is just a few seconds latency. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
okay. So if you click on this link, you will be brought to this page, as you see here, and this is a page where you can register. You can insert name, password, etc., or you can log in with GitHub or Google, and you will be able to create your account on Astra. I'll reiterate, this is completely free, and it is just a very easy and quick way to have a Cassandra-based solution to work with. Nothing prevents you from having your own Cassandra and at home, wherever, and use that for the practice. But today we are going to skip a few operational steps and go ahead with that one. Rags, you wanted to say something?
And the best thing is you don't have to put a credit card, right? You know, as a developer, I love that.
Yes, it's completely free, no friction. By the way, once you register, you will be able to create a few databases and you can use them all. They will be yours and free forever. And you will have a monthly credit that is, so every month you will get credit usable for free in this database, which amounts to something like 80 gigabytes of storage and maybe 20 million read-write operations. So you see, the free tier comprises much more than just a few, the little necessary for today's practice. You can actually have a pretty decent application or small company running on the free tier actually. So, okay, I already have an account, so let's pretend I logged in. And when you log in, you will be presented with a button like this, Create Database, that you see here on the upper left. If you click on Create Database, you will be able to create a database. Surprise. Okay, so you can name you can name your database everything you want, but today we want to help you get up and running in a smooth way without a hassle. So we suggest you to just use the default database name and key space name that we suggest, and those are the ones I'm pasting here in the chat. So we suggest you to call the database workshops, as you see me here typing workshops, and the key space to-do list. Now, you might wonder, what the hell is a key space? Well, yeah, a database, you probably know what it is. But a key space in Cassandra and in Astra DB is just a logical grouping of tables. So we will have, in principle, some tables. We want to keep them together, bundled together because say that they belong to the same application or whatever. We group them in a key space. So let me create this database called workshops, and so its key space is called to-do list. That's because, maybe I'm anticipating a surprise, the sample application that you will be getting running with Quarkus is a to-do list. Okay, so so you give a database name and key space name, then you can choose any cloud provider and any region. Now, this choice is, you can choose whatever you want, and in any case, your database instance will be created and will be running in our own, in DataStax's cloud accounts. So you don't need to have any cloud account yourself. This is all managed by us. So let's say, as I said already, I'm based in Italy, so I will go for AWS, Europe, and Frankfurt, which is as close as possible. So, okay, so database name, key space name, then you choose any provider and region, and let me show you that all these instructions are available in the README here. So we are following all instruction in the README. Now, if you click create database here, your database is going to be created. That might take a few seconds, after which you will get to this dashboard view. And as you see, my workshops database is there being created. Now, I have other databases, don't mind that. What's important is that you will end up having your workshops database here listed and not yet ready, probably, but it will be a few minutes in this pending state that you see here. That's okay, because a lot of stuff is happening.
Yeah, if you can all try this and put a thumbs up when it's pending. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't be active. I mean,
exactly.
If it's active, great. If it's pending, just put a thumbs up so that we know that you are ready, because without the database, there is really no workshop today.
Yeah, so please give us a nice thumbs up if you finish this step. If you get, oh great, Prabhu, your database is there pending, and probably while we wait for you, my database will get active in 1, 2, 3 minutes or so. We just give you a bit of time. Now, for those of you who already attended other workshops, you might already have a workshops database, in which case you would be able to just open that database and add a key space. You click on the database and you will see a nice button, Add Key Space, and there you would be able to create the key space called To-Do List. So let me go back to this view, where the main dashboard, where you see your databases, and one of them is workshops. And guess what? While I was speaking, it has become active. So
cool.
Xar, you have it active. Prabhu also, very good. So maybe we wait another minute or so, but then we can assume probably.
Yeah, let's give it half a minute.
Yeah, all of you will. Alexander, Sarah, very good.
If any of you have trouble, just let us know, because I think this is just it takes a little bit of time. That's it.
Yeah,
you should be good.
Exactly. So as long as your database is there pending, you're good to go, because in 1 or 2 minutes it will become green and active, and it will be ready to be used. Okay.
Perfect.
So that's
Like everybody's
sorry.
good.
Yeah. So that's for step 1. Create AstraDB instance. Now, let me scroll down. Okay, so I see a lot of thumbs up, done, happy faces, etc., etc. So let's go down. Step 1 done. Let's scroll to step 2. Now, step 2 is create Astra token. Because as you can imagine, we now have a database in the cloud. You now have a database in the cloud. And you are about to teach this Quarkus application how to connect to it. But obviously, there will be need for credentials because you certainly don't want anyone to be able to just access your database like this, right? Because we are serious people and we want to be connecting in a secure way. So that's why we need to go to the Astra interface and we have to generate credentials that we will later give to the application to make it possible to connect to the database. So to do that, we need to create a few things. Now, first, we need to create a token. Now, I'm going back to my Astra console here, the main console. And you see, I have here my workshops database, exactly as you. The quickest way to generate a token is, you see now, I made my screen a bit too big, maybe that's for readability, but if you scroll to the right, if you go to the right of this row, after the connect button, you will see an ellipsis menu here. Click on it, and you will see generate a token. Now, this is a bit hidden by the balloon, but you see generate a token. Now, if you click on generate a token, you will go to this page that makes it possible to generate on the fly a new set of credentials for accessing your database, your newly created database. Now, it's important that you select a role, the proper role, because you can create tokens with different degrees of privilege. And we need, in this drop-down here, select role, you need to choose database administrator. So you go to the database, ellipsis menu, create token, and then we choose database administrator here. Now, if you click generate token, instantly your token has been created. You see, your token has been generated. Very good. Now, these strings will be used later to connect from the application. So you can download the token details here as a CSV for opening it later anytime you want. You can copy these values here with a nice clipboard button. The important thing is that you should at least not navigate away from this page before copying the values, because otherwise the token will be, you will not be able to see it again for security reasons. Okay, you can still generate a new token, but that's another story. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping this page open and I'm opening another tab. So here I will keep my client ID, client secret, and token value. They will be used later in the application properties for the Quarkus application, as you saw already. And let me go again to the workshops database here. I have my token. And this is it. So we have done the step number 2, create Astra token. You see everything explained in the README, and there is also something mentioning where and what we will use later in the Quarkus application for connecting. Okay, now next step is launch Gitbot, but Rags, if it's okay for you, before doing that, I will also download the secure bundle, which is something, so we are done with the Astra UI part and everyone is happy to do that.
No, that's actually a great idea because, I mean, you're doing it as part of the, the secure connect. Yeah, I think let's go ahead and do it. Yeah.
I would just show everything there is to know about Astra today, and then we move to Gitbot. Okay, perfect. So there is another piece of information needed to connect to Astra from our application, and that is in the form, that comes in the form of a zip file containing a bunch of stuff, certificates, addresses, something. We don't care much now. It's just a zip file that we will need to get from the Astra UI page, and it will be different for all of you. We need to get it, and then later we will need to bring it over to Gitbot or anywhere. If you're developing locally, you will need it locally, etc. So it's a file that has to be accessible to the Quarkus application. Again, how do you do that? Okay, so I'm here in my Astra dashboard. I'm in the workshops database, the one we just created. Okay, maybe we should ask for a few thumbs up just to check that you guys were able to generate your token and have it handy for later. So please.
Yeah, please, if you can
thumbs
put
up
in a thumbs up and let us know that you're able to generate the token and keep it up.
Okay, so Alexander, double thumbs up. So maybe creating 2 tokens, not bad. Bertold, okay.
That's true.
Okay, so I see. This is okay. So sorry, something happened. Should be fine now. Daniel
we lost Daniel.
had to rush somewhere because, as Rag said, he's having a lot of other things, other meetings today and public speakings.
And this is the part of being virtual, right? You know, you're like doing so many things that you know, you're going from one to another, and
yeah, it's sometimes
even though
it's crazy.
It may be seamless, there are too many things.
Yeah, but somehow we manage. So I see a lot of thumbs up, a lot of tokens. So you are also, our attendees also have been doing their part. So
Yes.
okay, so you have your token. Now let me go back to showing you how to get this file, this zip file called Secure Connect Bundle. Now I am in my dashboard workshops database. Okay, you notice there are some tabs here. One of them is the Connect one here. Connect. Click on it, and you will see a page showing, actually demonstrating that there are actually a lot of different ways to connect with Astra from your application. There is Document API, GraphQL, REST. This is something that Rags has been showing you earlier. You can connect using a driver from using various languages. You can use an SDK to interface with the Stargate interface, and so on. Okay, so let's click to the language Java here in the left menu. Here, Java. And there we go. So there is this dark paragraph here telling you download your Secure Connect bundle. And this is what you're going to do. So download bundle, and you see here. Now, here you can download this zip file. If you click on it, you will be given a chance to save this file on your local machine. Now, this is important, and I'm now saving it locally on my machine. It's being saved somewhere.
And these Connect bundles are customized to your database, right? So yeah, you know, I know you mentioned this before, but
yeah, it's important.
But that's the reason why you have to do it. You know, you have to do this step yourself, because you don't want me to do anything into your database, right? So
you will, so every database will generate a different bundle, because as I said, this contains information about this keeps changing size, so let me fix that. Contains information on how to connect to your own database. So okay, so you see here my file here. Just keep it there, because in a little while you will have your Gitbot up and running, and it will be time to bring this file over to Gitbot along with the other credentials you saw.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So if you manage to get your Connect bundle, please tell us, thumbs up if you got your Connect bundle.
Connect bundle downloaded locally. You know, we haven't transferred it to Gitbot yet, and that's what
okay.
You know,
so
I was gonna, perfect locally. Yeah.
Very good. Bertold, Prabhu, Alexander. Okay, we gave a little time, so let me just show you again how to get to this.
Yeah.
You are in your database dashboard, the one about your workshop database. You see there is this Connect tab here. Then you pick Java here, download bundle in the middle, and you download this zip file. Okay.
Anybody having trouble, just let us know.
I see there are many thumbs up, so let's assume you are all good to go. Okay. And with that, we are back to the repository. Okay, so we have ready to use, we have all kind of credentials needed for later connecting to Astra. And it's time to open Gitbot. So Rax, you didn't mention much of Gitbot yet, right? So
yes, no, I did not.
Okay, so showing is better than telling, and that there will be a lot of showing in a little while. Let me just tell you that Gitbot is a very cool IDE in the cloud that works in your browser and lets you do everything that you do with, say, Visual Studio Code, but it's actually based on that. And to open your own Gitbot environment as a browser tab, you just have to open this button, click this button, opening in a new tab. So you right click, you control click, whatever, and you open link in new tab. Okay, so these will open a tab, and you see here, you might have to log in to GitHub for credentials, but you see what's happening on my screen? A virtual machine is being created with my editor ready to use. Rags, maybe I can give it to you now, so you can go to the most interesting part for our attendees. So what?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so
I'm ready.
Don't forget to keep your secure Connect bundle and your token and credentials ready for later. Just that. Okay,
Yes.
with that, I will give it back to you, Rax, on your screen. And
Perfect.
there you go.
Okay. All right. So here's my Gitpod window, which is already open, right? And again, all that I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the instructions, right? So I'm going to go back like exactly what Stefano did, right?
Okay, sorry, Rax, maybe before starting, we should wait a few minutes because yours is ready, but if our attendees have
Good
just
idea.
clicked on the Gitbot, probably they are still seeing something like setting Java, repackaging, a few messages. So I'm just doing that. So I'm trusting my timing, the one I see on my machine here. So you probably, our attendees are still seeing some messages, setting up these, packaging Java that, and stuff like that. So
fair enough. Yeah. So once you're done, can you put in a thumbs up, exercise 3, thumbs up, or whatever?
It's probably going to be done by now, but you know.
Yeah, it's
So
probably
keep
going to
an
be
eye
done.
on the console at the bottom. At some point, it will be a prompt, a shell prompt, ready to be used.
Yeah, and even if it's not ready to be used, just put in a thumbs up because it's going to be ready to use in a little bit. You can see here, and I'm not going to talk too much here, but provides all the tools that we'll need today, including Maven and exposing port 8080, which is used for the application, port 5005, which is used for debugging, and so on. Okay, so you'll see all that today. Okay, so let us know when you clicked on the Gitpod link, and you're able to get the Gitpod up and running. Perfect. Exercise 3. Thank you. That's exactly what we're looking for.
So Daniel is back, by the way. Maybe hi. So Raj, so you know, Daniel is back.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Yeah. And feel free, as always, to ping Daniel about any Quarkus related questions. But we're about to jump into Quarkus because Gitpod is almost up and running. So while it's coming up, I will talk to you a little bit about what Gitpod is, right? And then Daniel, Stefano already talked about this.
I see Majid has an error I haven't seen before. Gitpod is not available in your country. Oh, that's too bad.
You know sorry to hear that.
I have no idea how to go around that.
Is that in Iran?
If I remember correctly, yes. Now,
That's too bad.
An option is, I don't know, if you have hold of a VPN of some kind, then you might try to overcome this limitation. I haven't said
Yes.
that. Okay, no.
Or
you can work
or
locally.
You can do it locally, but that's going to take a little bit of adapting our instructions to that. We are not going to be able to help.
Maybe what you can do is you follow along and absorb everything you can from today's workshop, and then you try to run locally. I mean, you run locally without Gitbot. I mean, with your own machine, and it's very much the same. So you have code running.
Majid, you can definitely use VS Code, and just for your benefit, I'm going to show you that same thing. Okay, just very briefly. I'm not going to spend too much time. See, this is exactly what I'm doing here. Okay, this is locally on VS Code, and actually I'll bounce back sometime to local, and it's exactly the same. But you'll have to adapt the instructions a little bit, not too much.
Okay.
Okay, so you can definitely.
But okay.
So with that said, let me proceed. We basically have an Explorer window on the left. You can always get back to this Explorer window very easily by hitting this hamburger menu and then View and then Explorer. Okay. So sometimes it might get into a weird state. You can just hit that and you can get back to that. Okay. This is where you'll be doing a lot of edits. This is what we call edit window or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but basically that's the window, and this we refer to as the Gitbot terminal window. Okay, so if you go back to my Gitbot, I can show this quickly. Okay, so this is the Explorer. Okay, if you want to get back to this Explorer, very easy. You click on View and Explorer. Okay, and you're right there. Okay, and here you can do edits, and this lower part is what we call as the Gitbot terminal, where you'll be issuing commands. Okay, like for example Maven and so on. Okay, so this is kind of how Gitbot is. If anybody is having any trouble, let us know. But I think we should proceed with the next step. Know your public URL. This is important. Just do this. GP URL 8080. Okay, and this is the URL that we'll be using to interact with the application. Okay, so what I typically do is I get this. Okay, I cut it and I create a new tab. Just to kind of look at it. Don't be worried initially because the application is not running. My application is already running. I don't know where it's running, but I'll figure that out. But that's interesting. Where is it running? I'll have to figure that out. But let me see. Okay, I got to figure that out. But I'll we'll see what's going on there. But essentially, if you do this the first time around, the application is not going to be running. Okay, and maybe I ran my Docker or something like that.
Yeah, the Rex, might need to add some comment, the local thing. Yeah, I just put in the chat actually. You can go to the Git repository and on the root directory there are .gitbot.yaml file. This is all we needed to actually during creating workspaces. So you can go to that setup task and pre-build. So specifically VS Code extension section, this all extension automatically install on your Gitbot workspaces. So if you wanted to go through this workshop on your local IDE tool like a VS Code, you have to make sure install that extensions like a Lombok and Java thing, and also Java debugger and Java pack, etc. And the but not pretty complex thing. It's pretty easy for normal Java application development. Perfect.
I think I may have to kill one of these, which I had it running earlier. I'll figure that out. But let's go ahead and proceed with the next step. Okay. So essentially, you may get to see something like this when you're copying and pasting. Just see text and images, copy to the clipboard, just say hello, and if a service is available on a particular port, you just say, click on this X, and don't worry too much about that. The important part is setting up the application, right? I think Stefano talked about how we can get the zip file and the credentials. So the first thing you need to do is set up the credentials, right? Or the zip file. It doesn't matter in which order you do it. Okay. So let's look at the instructions again. So what it says is bring up this application.properties. Application.properties is the file where we specify the username and the password per se. Okay. So let me go in here. Okay. And I'm going to bring up the application properties. I'm just going to get rid of all this because I am cluttering my space a little too much. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of all this. Okay. And then I'm going to hit this command, right? So it's going to open up this application properties here, right? And there are two things that you want to add, which is the username and the password, okay? And essentially what you're going to do with the username and the password is you're going to go back to where you generated the token and where you had the, the client ID and the client secret. The client ID is exactly what you're going to paste into your username, okay? So if I'm correct, it should probably look exactly the same, right? So that's kind of what I pasted just now again. All right. And likewise with the password, I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but essentially, again, go back to the client secret. Okay. And take that and go back and put it in password here. Okay. And you should be good to go. All right. Just make sure you grab the whole thing. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay. The last part is getting the secure connect workshops.zip file. Okay. From wherever it is in the local, laptop or wherever you're working from, right? You want to move it over. So the best way to do that is to, wherever it is, right? So in my case, it's in secure connect. I'm not seeing it. Secure connect workshops, right? Okay. Maybe I moved it, deleted it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So there's my secure connect workshops.zip. The best way to transfer this over to Gitbot is to just drag and drop this. Okay. So I'm going to grab this. Give me a second. This is the toughest part of the workshop, strangely enough. Okay, so move it here, and you will see that it's highlighting. Like if you move it into this directory, you're dropping it in target. So just be careful. Just make sure you drop it to the workspace directory, which is at the top level. And I've already done it, so I don't know what's going to happen if I try it again. But so basically, it's saying me, do you want me to replace it, right? So I don't want to replace it, so I'm just going to say cancel. But in your case, you won't because you haven't had this. So let's take a moment so that everybody is through this step, because once you do this, then you're good to go. Okay. So let's make sure if there is anything else I missed in step 5. No. Okay. So can everybody do this? And once you're done, you can take a look at the fact that you downloaded it. Okay, so if you just do this, it should be around 12K, roughly around that. If it's not, then something is wrong. Okay. So please give us a thumbs up once you're done with exercise 5, and then you can roll quickly. We can go pretty quickly after that. Anybody completed exercise 5? Perfect. Bertold, Prabhu, great. If anybody's having trouble, let us know.
Yeah, dragging and dropping the secure bundle is one of the trickiest part.
Yes.
Usually.
It's crazy, right? Exercise 5 done. Perfect.
Done. Very good.
Fantastic. If
So
anybody's having trouble, let us know, because like what Stefano said, as strange as it may seem, once you do this, everything else will seem so much easier.
Okay, so there is a question on Discord which is important. Someone whose name I cannot pronounce says, my port 8080 is not working. However, I think that's perfectly fine because there's not anything running yet. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So
except
in my case, you open your tab on port 8080, but it's okay that there is not yet anything listening there. So you just keep the tab open, and in a little while something will run there and you will see this. But
okay, so
not
you should see something like this.
Exactly. You
Port
should see
8080
something like that.
which is fine because we don't have the application running yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody having trouble? Should we move on? What should we do? Stefano, your call.
I think we can move on. How many thumbs up? Okay.
Correct.
Yes, maybe. Yeah. So just make sure the secure bundle is on the right directory, as Rag said. That should be just workshops. Sorry, workspace.
Exactly. Yeah. So just make sure, and if you do this ls-l, okay, you will see that, if it's not in this directory, then you won't see it. So, if you have copied it to another directory, I'm just going to show like some other file. You will see something like this. It cannot access the secure connect workshops.zip, no such file or directory. So if you see something like that, then you may have to start again. Like make sure that you're doing it right and all that. But I think we have spent too much time on that. Let's move on. All right, so let's start with running some unit tests. Okay, unfortunately, we don't do unit tests or testing, which is one of the power strengths of the platform. But this is we're going to start with the SQL test. Okay, and if I kind of look through this main test. Okay, you will see, this is the SQL test that we are running. All that we're doing is just making sure that this thing is up and running. Okay, that's all we're doing. Very, very simple. We're making sure that, we get a status code of 200, right? Which essentially means that we are able to connect to the application. You may want to make it a little bit more sophisticated by making sure that, it's doing the right thing and all that. But you just, it's okay, right? So it's still, it's 8080 not found, which is fine because, we haven't started the application yet, right? But we have already created the table, and you should see here, you should see a table created as true, and there are some instructions, if you can't kind of look through the whole, output, which is quite a bit, you can just do this or something similar. It doesn't matter what you do, but you should see if I do a clear, okay, and paste that command again. Okay. It should probably come back and tell me table is created. Okay. Give it a little bit of time. Nothing happening yet, but there it is. Table created is true. Okay. So now we're good to go. So can we get a few more thumbs up after you're done with the tests, please? So after you're done with exercise, was it 6? I believe it was 6. Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to get to the real cool part. By grabbing zip file is uploading in Gitbot. What do you mean by that, KSR?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky to get the right place to drop the file. That might be one thing. Otherwise, I guess there might be operating system or browsers that somehow behave in a weird way with this drag and drop. Yeah. In which case, there is. Sorry, Rax, you've been expanding and. There might be there is another way to do that, which is a bit tricky. So I will write that in the chat, copying the link and doing a wget from within Gitbot. But I suggest everyone else goes ahead. Otherwise, that takes a bit too much. But I will give instructions. Xar, on the chat, I will give you instructions on how to overcome this. And then either you catch up now or you continue watching the recording. And this is a good occasion to remind everyone that today's workshop will be available on YouTube as a recording starting immediately when the live is over. So, and it will be there for you to look watch anytime. So, okay, go ahead, Rax. I'll collect
and the instructions are pretty self-explanatory. So, if you're not able to do this, I'm sure when you are more time, when you're doing it at leisure, you will be able to drag and drop it and do the right things. Can we get some more thumbs up of exercise 6 done, or should we proceed? So one of the things that we do, and I'm going to proceed, is we have installed Graal. Okay, so Graal VM home, and if you just do a ls -l of Graal VM home, right, you will see, there is a whole bunch of stuff in there. All right, let's do this. Okay. So basically, what I'm trying to do is, list what's in the directory, and you can take a look at it yourself. Except that it's just doing the link right now. I could do a tree, I guess, but let's not get caught up on that. The Graal VM is installed there, okay, and then what we'll do is we will run what is referred to as the live coding or the hot reloading part. Okay, so to do that, all that I'm going to do is invoke the target Quarkus :dev. Okay, so remember this Quarkus :dev is something that essentially runs this in what we call as development mode. And notice it opened up a port 5005, which is used for debugging, right? It's a standard like JMX thing that a lot of Java programmers are familiar with, and the service is available on port 8080. So there are easier ways to get to the browser, but let's go back and check and see if this application is running. So there it is. The application is up and running now, right? Because we just invoked it, right? But here's the cool part, right? Let's not worry too much about this. So let's bring up, if I just type H in the terminal window, okay, make sure you are in the terminal window, because sometimes what I've done is I've typed it here, and then if it's a pom.xml, it screws the whole thing up, and then I'm lost and all that. So make sure you're in the terminal window before you type H, okay? And then what you can do is you can type W, okay? And it brings up the same application right there, okay? So I don't like this personally because, there's not much room here to operate, but it's up to you. If you feel it's a great thing to be able to do it right here. And I'll show an example of this. So let's proceed with the instructions. Okay, so I put a W there. All right, and my application is up and running like you see here. And now we're going to do a hot reload. Okay, so now we're going to navigate through the Explorer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to source. We're going to go to main. We're going to go to resources. We're going to go to metainf. Okay, and then we're going to go to this file called index.html. Okay, again, I'm going to clean up everything. Okay, and we'll worry about all that later. Okay, clean up everything. Okay, and just look at index.html. Okay, and here there is something called as a data ribbon at the very, very end. Okay, it says fork me on GitHub. Okay, and that's exactly what you're seeing here, right? So if you go here, you look at it, fork me on GitHub, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a very simple change. Okay, so I'm going to say fork me today on GitHub. Okay, and this is all auto saved. And if I go back and refresh my screen, you should be able to see fork me today on GitHub. Very cool, right? Because a lot of things, on the right, I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but basically this became, fork me today. This on this ribbon, it went from fork me today. Actually, let's try this again because I probably didn't explain it well. Let's focus again on this particular data ribbon, okay? And I'm going to go from fork me today to fork me already. Very simple change, right? And if I go back and refresh, it's already updated, okay? It's just that, I didn't refresh my screen, right? And you can set it up in such a way that the browser automatically refreshes as well. But a lot of things happened underneath, right? It essentially recognized the fact that you made a change. It went ahead and built the jar files, whatever it needs to, and essentially, updated the application for you, and now you have the application up and running. Very simple. We did it like that, right? So now if I go back and one more thing I want to show here, obviously you can do the W there, right there, right? Again, just be careful. Fork me already, okay? See, this is what I made. I made a mistake here, right? Because what I did was I thought I had the focus on the window, but I think I put it here. So just be careful when I put a W there, okay? So I said that, but I still made the mistake. Okay, so now what you can do is you can open the dev UI, which gives you more information on Quarkus metrics. So for example, this will give you everything related to Quarkus, like, what are the different beans that doing dependency injection. It's using what is referred to as REST easy, reactive. There was a REST classic, and there are other options as well. But now with the latest version of Quarkus, which is what we're using, 2.3.1, maybe one below, you can kind of look at the health and a whole bunch of stuff that you can do, with the Quarkus Dev. So the endpoint that you'll see here, you can basically, it's very easy. All that it does is it uses this endpoint /q/dev. So if you're running it on localhost, you can just bring up /q/dev and you can take a look at it, or you can just type in D and you can see that as well. So one of the cool things is you can go into config editor and you can make the changes real time, and these are going to be live reloaded for you. Again, very cool. Like for example, if I want to, I think Stefano, you were saying that you could change the username and password and it.
Yes, you
So
can do
there are
that, and
a
it's
couple of
hot
things you can do
reloaded. So be
Yeah.
careful, because if you change your token as an experiment, as I did yesterday, you will have a hard time getting everything running again.
Getting back, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
just don't change that, but you can do that. Okay.
yeah.
I think that's it for exercise 7, I believe. So can we get some thumbs up? Did I miss anything? Daniel, do you want to talk a little bit more about /q/dev endpoint? Because I know you're pretty excited with that, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, thanks for asking me that. Yeah, so that is a Quarkx Dev Mode, and then actually that is also Quarkx Dev UI. It's only available when you run Quarkx as a dev mode, not running packaging application using Java command line. So when you run the Quarkx Dev and press D as you showcased earlier by the Rex, you can just go to the dev UI, but it's not just a graphical UI. You can actually handle all of the configuration and extension. Also, there are built-in UI capability. As an example, Keycloak dashboard and then Swagger UI, and also GraphQL UI is already built in when you add the relevant extension. You just click on that. As an example, when you click on that one, you can find the Swagger UI. You don't need to run the another port or something like that. It's automatically bring you that Swagger UI capability. So pretty simple. And then one more thing is when you change some configuration, it's automatically change your local file system automatically. And also in a dev service perspective, you could copy from that dev service configuration. It's automatically pasted into your local file system. As an example, when you add the database like extension like a PostgreSQL or something like that, and then when you click on the config editor with the that extension, you can find the right top of that, something like a copy dev services, actually not there. But here is just, you can see the go to source, but when you click on dev service like a Kafka or a Keycloak and like a PostgreSQL, MongoDB, you can find more another button like a dev services. And the click on dev services, you can copy test configuration, product configuration. When you click on that, it will automatically copy relevant configuration keys and value into your local file system, which is applications.property file. And you just need to change the actual value. For example, the target IP address, your PostgreSQL, or target address, or Cassandra database, something like that.
Perfect. So you can get out of the development mode, like what Daniel was talking, by just hitting one key, which is Q, or you can hit Control C like you are used to, right? But one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about here is the Swagger UI is pretty useful because again this actual application is using that Swagger UI, like you can see here /API, right? And then to do list ID. So what this is doing is it's getting information on the list, and then here what it's doing is it's doing a post, right? So these are the CRUD operations that we talk about in the REST parlance, right? And essentially you can see here when I'm doing a delete, I'm going ahead and deleting it from the key space, right? Getting information on the Swagger API is very useful, especially when you're doing development and maybe you're working in a team and you're working with other people as well. It makes it very easy, or at least first level of kind of support. The second level of support are some of the things that you're very you do routinely every day is debugging. So should I jump into debugging, or should we wait for a few thumbs up? What do you think?
Well, someone was having trouble accessing port 8080, but I think okay, so there is that user with a name made of emojis whom I can't pronounce is telling me that Maven test is failing with error picked up Java tool options -xmx. I think that's not an error, if I'm not mistaken.
That's fine. Yeah. That's, you can ignore that. Yeah,
you can ignore that as
right.
long as the rest is running, and after that should be okay. But I think if they are at the testing, then it's expected that.
So that's cool. We already have a few thumbs up for exercise 7. Let's wait for a couple more, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Let's get a couple more. That's nice, Petro.
So we can maybe think of going forward. And yeah, those of you who still might have some trouble, please reach out on Discord, and maybe later after the workshop and in any time, actually, we might look closely at your particular questions or problems. So we can stay on time and we can stay on schedule.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set a breakpoint, right? Debugger, breakpoint, right? It kind of goes without saying. So let me get rid of my clutter again. Okay, I clutter my desktop easily, right? What I do here is I'm going to open up the file. Okay, and just like it says, open up the Astra to-do that we are just looking into, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a breakpoint at 60. All that you need to do is, look at the 60, and then you'll see like a light red or pink, whatever. Okay, I'm not good at colors. But once you click on it, it goes to red, okay? So let's go back and look at what the instruction says, right? I've set the breakpoint, right? And all that I need to do is run this again, right? Now I realize there's something wrong and I may have to start the debugger, right? I'm running this. Oops, I made a mistake again. Where did I put it? I keep doing this. Okay, so let's hope that I got it right. Okay, let's see. Okay, good. All right, so now I want to debug this, right? So the way to do this is you see a debugger window on the left. Okay, that's the one. I knew I made a mistake there. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is, right? I keep telling and I keep making the same mistake. All right, so get rid of that. And I'm going to run it again. Okay, so you'll see.
Sorry, Rags, just one thing. Daniel has to leave us now because, as we know, he has another things coming on. So he'll be in the chat now and then. But again, thank you, Daniel, for having helped us
really
and
appreciate
having
it.
been here.
See
you next time.
Yeah, thanks, Rex.
Bye.
And Stefano and everybody. Yeah, thanks for that. And talk to you later soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Good luck with your next workshop. All right. So now we are running. Okay, and how do we debug? Same thing, right? So basically we go into this debugger. You can see a run and debug, right? I hit that. And then you hit this button on the top, which says start debugging, okay? Or you can hit F5, as your case may be. Okay, and you can see the call stack and the breakpoints and all that are being displayed here, right? So now I'm going to run. I'm going to go back here, okay? And where was it? I don't care about any of these, right? So let me go back to my application. Okay, and I'm going to put in a entry, right? And hopefully they should hit the. You can see here, the red square is kind of going like that, right? So if you go back to the tab tells you it hit a breakpoint, right? Pretty cool, right? So the tab itself tells you it's a breakpoint, which means it hit it right there, right? It became line 61 because I kind of moved things around, but it doesn't matter, right? So now I click on this to do on the left arrow, and then look at this title, which I need to fix, right? Very simple change. I make sure that I eliminate all the extra G's, and I put debugging, right? And I hit enter, all right? And then there is this small arrow which says continue. Okay, again, F5. And if I hit continue, and if I go back and look, hopefully my to-do will have the right information, debugging. Okay, very cool, right? So very, very straightforward to use that. Hopefully this is gonna, you guys can try this out yourself, and please put in, a thumbs up as soon as you're done, because we have some really cool parts that I haven't come to yet, and I would definitely like to get to that some point. I think we're doing relatively okay, right, Stefano?
Yeah, I would say so. And yeah. By the way, I think this part is one of the coolest because for Java developers, this is like, wow.
Yeah, it's basically an envy, that Java programmers had about other languages, right? Other languages had this, and in Java, it was just not easy to do that. And you can do that even in IntelliJ, or other IDEs, right? Primarily IntelliJ and Visual Studio, right? So you can do that.
Okay.
And one of the questions that came up yesterday, is can you do remote debugging? You can do that as well. Here, what we are doing is we are doing it locally. So let me go back to my Explorer. Okay. What are we doing here? Okay, this is different, right? So let me stop the debugging session. And let me go back into the terminal and just kill it. All right. And if I go back to my Explorer, okay, you'll see here, there is a VS Code, and that talks about kind of like, how do you launch this? So I could have a pre-launch task which automatically does this Quarkus Dev, or I could attach to an application that's already there, right? And basically it's doing a local host, but you can do remote hosts as well. And it's attaching on port 5005, which is pretty standard, as most of you Java programmers know this. Okay. That is cool. We have a lot of dones. So should I move on to exercise 8?
Yeah,
we are done with exercise 8. Sorry. So that was exercise 8. I'm going to skip exercise 9 because there's not a whole lot in there. Okay. So let's get to the juicy part, right? The containerizing part. You can do exercise 9 by yourself. Okay. It doesn't really take too long. Is that okay, boss?
I'm not the boss, but I think so. Yeah. Let's make sure there is time enough for the coolest final part.
Exactly.
Everybody keeps asking about.
All right. So let's get rid of all my clutter as usual, right? And start with my instructions. Okay. So essentially what we are doing here is we are containerizing the application, and really not a whole lot to do here. We use what is referred to as a gib plugin for the container. Gib does a whole lot of things for you, okay? Including taking some of the artifacts from source main Gib subdirectory and putting it into the container. So remember, Stefano talked about the fact that if you want to connect to the database, you have to provide the credentials and the zip file, right? So we are in kind of a quandary. Where do we put the zip file? Obviously, it has to be on the container, right? Because if you have it on the local file system, it's not going to help you. It's got to be on the container. So far, we got away because it was on the in the workspace in Gitbot somewhere. But now we want to put it on the container. To be able to do that on the container, what we do is this first step. We put this in source main Gib. Okay, very straightforward. All that we do is again follow the step. Let's see if it works. Okay, so we copied it, and you can see if you check, it'll be there. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a container out of this. All right. So we're going to go back here and we're going to create a container. Very straightforward. We use a clean package, right? And then, interestingly, it's doing some Maven because I think those are the ones that used by Gib. I'm not going to worry too much about this. Let's see. It should work in a little bit.
Yeah, I think Gib brings over some additional dependencies in itself.
Correct. Yeah. And it's done. Okay. So now when I look at Docker images, okay, I should have shown this before because there would have been just the Rex NS Quarkus Cassandra. But now you have this Gitbot Quarkus Cassandra, which was generated like 30 seconds ago. Okay, you can see that? Mm. So to be able to run this is very straightforward. All that I'm going to do is I'm going to run this Docker run and provide these ports 8080 to 8080, and I'm going to provide the containerized image. Okay, and if everything is good, it should be running fine. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Go back to my Gitbot, okay, and run this. Okay, again, same thing, browser and so on. Let's not worry too much about that. And your application is up and running at 8080. Do you see that? Okay, and if I go back here, I actually have this running on my Docker image. Very cool, isn't it? I didn't really have to do anything, and just able to do this, right? Now, the next part that I'm going to show you is only a demonstration part because unfortunately, it's not easy to set up a Kubernetes cluster, with Gitbot. Okay, I mean, you could do that. There are ways of doing that, but it's a little bit more involved. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show it to you on my local file system. Okay, so you will be able to see my terminal window. Do you want me to enlarge the fonts, or is it good enough?
I think it's larger than many other things we saw so far. So
perfect,
that's good.
Perfect. Okay, so I have a number of different Kubernetes clusters running. This one is actually running a Cassandra cluster. A Cassandra. You don't need Cassandra. Any Kubernetes cluster is fine. Okay, and all that I'm going to do here is actually let me show what is running by just doing a kubectl get nodes. Okay, kubectl is a way of interacting with the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, and so it's showing here that I'm running it in GKE. Okay, and I'm running 3 nodes there and so on. Okay, just to be clear, I'm also going to do a delete if I've already done this. Okay, and what I'm doing here is in the process of generating the Dockerized image, it also generated a Kubernetes YAML file that I can use right from there. Okay, and I'll show you this in a second. But I'll make sure that I've deleted it. I've deleted it. That's fine. Okay, and all that I'm going to do is I'm going to just do an apply here. Okay, instead of a delete, I'm doing an apply, and this is going to stand up the application. Hopefully, you can see here it creates a service and it's going to create a deployment. We'll come back to that in a second, but I'll go back and show you the manifests that were generated. Okay, so you can see here that where am I? A little bit lost here. Okay, target. Okay, and then if I go into Kubernetes, okay, you'll see this. This is exactly the YAML that I used. Okay, and this automatically got generated for me. See, it put the Quarkus Cassandra, it put the version. It in fact even put the Git commit ID, which is really cool, right? And then hopefully, if everything is right, here it puts the image too. If I generate it properly, then it will put my image rags and s. You will see here in my local, I have the right version of that. Okay, so let me show that to you just as a contrast. So again, target, Kubernetes YAML, and you'll see here, Docker IO / rags and s. So it stands up the right application, right? So let me go back here, okay, and look at, I'm just going to do a kubectl get all, and you'll see here, there is a load balancer, okay. It shut down the previous, and it's bringing up the new service. This is going to take a little bit of time because, the load balancer might take a little bit of time, but hopefully it should do it pretty quickly. Let me do a watch on it so that I know what's going on. It's still pending. Okay, so let's leave it there, and then let's see if we can get some thumbs up there, right, from folks. Is there anything else I missed here? I pushed it, pushed to Docker Hub. You have to do the Docker login command. I didn't show that, but you can push that as well to Docker Hub. Okay.
And of course, you need an account on Docker Hub.
And Docker Hub. So that's why we made that step optional. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if this load balancer came up. This is a GKE thing. It's still pending. Okay. So I don't know why it's taking too long today.
Let's see. Yeah, I can imagine this last step. Maybe our attendees might want to do it later.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
Please
we'll
connect
come back
with
to
us.
this in a second.
Sorry.
We'll come back to this in a second, but if we can get some thumbs up, if anybody did this, you don't have to do the install to Kubernetes cluster because that's part of the homework, right? But if you can do the rest, I think that'll be good.
Okay. Prabhu made it. Congratulations. Very good.
Prabhu made it. That's nice. Yeah. Anybody having trouble? We're glad to help if we can. KCR, cool.
Cool. So in any case, we are there on Discord and ready to help you if you ever get stuck or you need some guidance.
So I'm not sure why this is still pending. Usually on GKE it comes up pretty quickly. I will have to debug this and figure out what's going on here. Okay. Actually, let's do this. Yeah, I'm not going to get into debug here. Okay, it takes a while. So how about we proceed? What do you think?
Yeah, because we have a few minutes and let's look at the native image, which is also a very cool thing to show.
Very cool, yeah, exactly. So we don't want to miss that for sure, right? Absolutely. So let's run this. Okay, I'm going to kill out the Docker image. Okay, so now if you go back and look here, this should not be running, right? Because again, I killed the Docker image, right? So now what we're going to do is the last part. How do we generate a native image, right? Is very straightforward. All that I'm going to do is I'm going to install, I'm going to invoke the -p native. Okay, so the clean package and -p native is going to generate, a native image. All right. So what it's going to do is it's going to use the Graal VM and do the right things, and then you will see, as a Java programmer, you can see here it's using the Graal VM, okay, the 21.2.0 that's it's using, and then it does this JNI stuff. You guys know what JNI stands for, right? Java native imaging, right? And I don't need to worry about all this. The platform does this for me, right? This is going to take a good like 7 to 8 minutes. Okay, so it's okay, because we are incurring this penalty in the build time, because the hope is that at runtime this is going to be going like super quick. Okay, and that's the hope here. Okay. I'm downloading Quarkus now. Is Majid okay? Yeah,
Way
that's
to
going to take
go,
a little bit of
Majid.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Thanks.
that's
Thanks
great.
for the effort.
Yeah, it's
that's
great.
Yeah.
No geographic boundaries can stand between you and Quarkus now.
Exactly. Imagine
Well
all the
done.
people in the world, no boundaries. Exactly. Yeah. I completely agree with that. So it's doing a whole bunch of stuff here. We'll not worry too much about that. Let me go back and check my load balancer again. As you can see, I'm very upset that this is not working for me today.
Yeah.
Where is it? It's still pending. Oh no, it gave me a IP finally. Okay, so I'm going to take that IP, okay, and I'm going to paste it here, okay, because this is a different IP, and all that I need to do is voila, okay. What this does is it does some kind of session management a little bit differently, and that's why you don't see all the entries here. So don't be too alarmed if the entries are not there, because it does some kind of session management, which doesn't always reflect the right way of doing things. But you saw that using the load balancer, I was able to stand it up, right? And you can do the same thing as well. Okay, and if you go back and look at kubectl get service, is that what it is? You can see a lot of services. I'm not going to worry too much about that, but I'm going to look at Quarkus, right? Because that's the one that I'm concerned about. So here's the Quarkus Cassandra. It's running locally and whatever. I don't care. This is my IP 34.132, whatever. It took 7 minutes, but it did come up, and it's setting up to port 80, right? And that's why we were able to access it on port 80. Okay, does it make sense? Now, if I go here and try this /q/dev, like what Daniel was saying, it's not going to work because it works only in development mode. Okay, so those options are available only in development mode. All right. So let's go back and see if the native image got generated, and it did. Fantastic. So how do I run this native image? Very straightforward. I go into target, right? And let's look for what is in there. This is the runner. Okay, and that's all I need to do. Okay, I need to run this runner. And you will see here, you can kind of see it in action. It's probably going to start a lot faster. Okay, there you are. It's already up and running. It's a native image. It's running locally, and you're good to go. Okay, so now if I go back here and look at my Gitbot, there you are, debugging. And this was a native image. Very cool, isn't it? All that I need to
fast.
Exactly. Yeah. You could kind of feel that it was faster, right? And you can take this and package it up in like a container, which is going to be super fast, with startup, because the JVM is completely gone, right? You're not even using the JVM. So you're kind of marrying the best of both worlds, right? You're doing the inner loop development with Java, but you're using the native runtime to be able to spin it up quicker.
So the build time is time well spent. That's what you say.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
The build time is really time well spent, because like anything else, if you can shift your development left, whatever it is, whether you're doing security, whether you're doing, it doesn't matter. It's much better than putting it on the right, because then if your application is starting up slowly, you incur all kinds of issues with that and so on. So,
Yeah.
Good point.
Cool.
So what do you guys think about this? Shall we move to Menti? Because we have about 6 minutes left. Let's see if anybody finished exercise, the native packaging. I would love to see if anybody completed the whole thing, which is, was it 11 or 12?
11 native image. Prabhu managed to go through all steps.
Fantastic.
Well done. I appreciate it's been a lot of things tonight to do.
Petro, fantastic.
So congratulations. Yeah.
That's
a lot
really,
of stuff.
Really cool. Lot of stuff, exactly. I did, native image.
Native image,
very
yes. Cool. Congratulations. A lot of people. Great.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Cool.
So for the homework, you can basically there are two options here. We can talk about that. Pick whatever works for you. Complete the practice steps from the repository as described above, and deploy to a Kubernetes cluster. I kind of showed it to you, but make screenshots of deployment to a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, that's all that needs to be done. Option B. Learn more about Quarkus and do some development with GitHub DataStax Cassandra Quarkus. Okay, and send a screenshot of the working fruits application with the following entry, jackfruit. Okay, and the corresponding description is king or queen of fruits. For those of you who are in, I myself am from Bangalore. I live in Boston now. I miss my jackfruit. I miss my mango. I miss my tropical fruits. So, if you want to finish that, you can submit it, and it basically tells you how to submit your homework there. Okay. Alexandra Else is done as well. So I think we should move to Menti. What do you think? Because everybody wants the cool swag, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a lot of stuff tonight. So today, actually. So it's time to relax with the quiz. But as you probably know, the quiz will be about Quarkus. So I hope you paid attention. And it's time to go back to Menti. So let me give you again the code to connect, because probably many of you are still connected since the beginning of the workshop, but just in case, it's also on screen. You can scan the code, and now this time the questions are timed. So if you answer faster, you get more points and you have chances to win. That's why, since YouTube has a slight delay of a few seconds, please answer and look at your phone when the questions come. Otherwise, it would be a pity. Okay.
Let's roll.
So I think we can start.
I'll give you a hint. The first one, you can answer any question. So, pick A, B, C, or D. It doesn't matter. First one is all right.
All speed, I would say.
yeah. Just get ready for the speed, right?
Okay.
So let's give it. We have about 16 people. Maybe wait till 20. Let's get a few more people.
Let's see.
So make the swag a little bit more interesting. Maybe at least one more, two more. If you don't want to join Menti, just let us know in the chat and we will proceed. I'm just hoping that we'll make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah, one more. One more. Can we go with one more? I feel like I'm an auctioneer here. Okay. What do you think?
So we can start, I guess. Yeah.
All right.
So get ready and be fast and correct in your answers. So, what is a cool feature of today's workshop? Let's see. Answers are coming in. And the time is almost up. And there we go. Time's up. So
nobody thought Gitbot was cool. I thought it was the coolest feature.
I think it's very cool.
I think it's in the hall, right?
if those of you who attended some of our workshops already know Gitbot, it's not a novelty anymore. So maybe Quarkus is the coolest in their eyes.
That is
but
true. That is true.
yeah.
Yeah. You still have time, maybe to join if you can. But let's proceed. Let's see who the leaderboard is.
Yeah. So this question was all about speed, but then the next ones will
It's a
actually want you
shame.
to.
Do you see Rags here? I know the answer and I still didn't. Could be fast. So anyway,
Okay.
I'm not good at this, so I'm not even gonna try.
So
All
Yoda
right.
is the fastest, and but still the competition is still very open. And
Yes.
yeah, let's see the real questions now.
Real questions now. Let's go with it. All right. Okay.
Now let me remind you that
Awesome.
today the prize is a special swag provided by Red Hat, Quarkus themed swag. So let's
Did
see
we
with
miss question
number
1
2.
or okay? I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, maybe it's labeling is wrong.
Okay.
I don't know why it's question 2.
That should be good to go, I think.
All right.
If you press enter, that should start. Okay, so this time, think carefully. Which file did we modify to connect to the Astra database securely? You remember there was a file being edited, and that was... Da-da-da-da.
Da-da-da-da.
So what do you think? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up.
Fantastic.
Let's see. And correct.
We got
So
a
many
lot
of you
correct
paid
answers.
attention. Yeah, let's see.
We did modify POM XML and Astra to do, but those were more, not for connecting to the Astra database. Typically, what you do is any application-specific stuff, you put it in application.properties. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Let's see.
Let's see the leaderboard. Okay, I see most answers were correct, and Alex jumps to the first position. Congratulations.
And it's a
Yeah.
shame that Rags, who knows the answer, is actually falling down. All right, moving on. Next
Moving
question.
on.
Question 3. Answer fast and keep focus on the Menti. Look at your phone.
Which port did the debugger use? Now it's port 80, port 3000, port 5005, or port 9000. Yeah, that was clearly so. If you did the steps, you noticed that. And let's see what the answers are.
Fantastic.
Correct. Almost all of you gave the correct answer. Yeah. Very good. Rax, looks like you did a great job at explaining everything.
I don't know, or maybe I said the question's very easy, right? It's always one or the other. All right. So port 5005 was used. You can always set different ports, but that's what we used in the workshop. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Let's see the leaderboard.
Let's see if it did anything.
Okay, so very close call. And Yoda. Yoda jumps to first position again with the fastest answer. But they are really all there in a handful of...
Oh, within like 6, 4, it's pretty close, 60.
Very close to each other.
It's very close.
Still open.
I don't think I've seen it this close.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. All right. You still have a lot of chances to catch up.
Yeah.
Question 4 of 7. Answer fast. Maven target we did not use. So in the workshop. So be careful about this. We did not use.
Yeah, a target we did not use. Answers are coming in, and time is up.
Yeah, this is a little tricky.
And hot reload. Yes.
We did use clean. We did use Quarkus Dev. We did use packages. Oh, we did not use package. So maybe I should have changed that, although it was there in the instructions. So my apologies if
you generated the native image, right?
I did, yeah. That's
so
yeah,
that was
minus p native. Good point.
Maven package.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So that was correct. All right, doing well here. Let's see the leaderboard.
So what happened this time?
Let's see.
Too bad I see some wrong answers, but there is still time to catch up. And Yoda maintains the first position. Well done.
Well done, Yoda. I think it's something to do with the name Yoda, right?
Yeah.
Question 5 or 7. Answer fast to get more points. What is the endpoint we use to get Quarkus-related metrics?
qdev/metrics/all. This is also something, Rax, you tried
to explain, yeah?
Yeah, no, you explained.
Ooh, that is confusing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is /q/dev because it's really about Quarkus-related metrics, not about anything else. And Quarkus uses the endpoint /q/dev, okay?
Yeah, that was a bit tricky.
Yeah, I guess I had a tricky question.
Tricky enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe
We're getting close. Let's see what happens here.
Changed a bit in the leaderboard.
Wow, this is close.
But I see
Yoda still maintains the lead.
Fastest, but still Yoda maintains the position by a little amount of points.
Yeah, anyway. Very close, right?
Okay.
Okay, still anybody's game, especially the top 4, top 5. Alex, you still have time to catch up, I'm sure.
Rags, I'm sorry, but you are falling behind.
I know, I gave up. I couldn't do it.
You should study more,
Yes. Yes, I agree.
Question number 6. Be fast and be correct. What container-related Maven plugin did we use in the workshop? Java, POM, Maven, or Gib?
It's a tricky question because it's container-related.
Yeah.
Maven. Nice. A lot of Gibs, which is the correct answer.
Very good. Very good.
All right. Did you check the leaderboard? Let's see.
Let's see. Yeah, because we are almost at the end of the questions. So
last one.
Let's see.
Ooh, it's still very close, right?
Crowbot fastest, but still very close to all other. Yoda still first position.
Yep.
What do you think?
I think Rags should be thrown out of the board. All right, next.
Rex is still third. Yes, you are.
Yeah, it's anybody's game still.
Oh, yeah.
Last question. For all the marbles. Here we go.
Concentrate. So, what is required to create a native image with Quarkus? Linux VM, Graal VM, or Java VM? Everybody frantically answering as fast as possible, and this is nice.
Yes, the Graal VM is used for generating the native image. Everything else, the JVM is good enough. But when you want the native image, does the JNI, magic, and all that, you need Graal VM. Okay. So should I bring up the leaderboard?
Yeah, because now it's the final one. And let's see.
Is it going to change anything? No, Yoda was the fastest.
And Yoda fastest.
Yoda.
So Yoda wins, JQ and Rex second and third. So congratulations to all of you, but in particular to Yoda, JQ and Rex. And please, the first three, now there are some instructions on how to claim your well-deserved prize, and instructions that I'm going to paste in the YouTube chat. So the first three, now Rax, you should stay on this screen for the Menti, because
for a little, yeah.
So please take a screenshot of your winning phone screen and send it by email to jackfryer@datastacks.com. It's written in the chat. And please specify a few other things: full name, address, phone number, and since this time it's about a Quarkus jacket, whether you want a woman or man model, and your size. And please mention Quarkus in the subject so we can route that to the right recipient. So yeah, that's it. So congratulations to all of you for the quiz, for winning or not winning.
We still have a few, so let's go through the remaining slides.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did the live
wrap
coding.
up and conclusion.
So you can try it out yourself by creating your Quarkus Cassandra app. Just do a Maven, very similar to Spring Initializer. You can have, there is a Quarkus Initializer also. If you go to, the Quarkus code.quarkus.io, you can do this, or you can do it multiple different ways. And then, of course, you know what to do, right? You start with Quarkx Dev and browse to, /q/dev. You can stand up your Astra free database at astra.datastacks.com. And basically point your app to Astra, which is exactly what we did, right? And you can do it all yourself from a local laptop if you want.
So sorry, Rax, speaking of this point, since we noted that someone here did not have access to Gitbot, so being able to work locally is important. And I'll paste in the YouTube chat the link to this repository with instructions. And one thing that you will find in this repo is the slides, including this one slide, right? With all detailed instructions on how to work locally.
All right. This workshop is here, and homework, like I said, if you go to github.com/datastacks/Cassandra Quarkus, has a much more sophisticated Java application using DTO, DAO, and all that. Our application didn't really use that. One of the things that we get from a lot of developers is this is all cool, I like it, but my boss wants real good support. How do you do that, right? If you just go to astra.datastacks.com, essentially you can start conversing with a data architect who's going to guide you through a more sophisticated application. Ours was very simple to-do list, but you can create a more sophisticated application and you can kind of walk through that all yourself. Okay. And there are other means of support as well that's available. Love to discuss more if you want. Daniel O unfortunately had to live, but he's going to be available in all these different forms. Okay, whether you're doing on GitHub or Twitter or LinkedIn and YouTube and so on, right? You can kind of find him. Again, as a CNCF ambassador, he and I attended KubeCon recently. So if you're at a KubeCon or Cloud Native Con sometime, just come by and say hi to us. Your feedback is extremely important. I don't want to say anything more. Stefano, do you want to say anything?
No, I think
on this slide?
That's it. You said everything. Just, maybe I'll remind you that we are, you can reach us on Discord, among other things. And please do that so we can keep in contact, because we run a lot of workshops about AstraDB, Cassandra, and related things. And in particular, a very important point is that we also offer, we offer for free a certification program for becoming Cassandra certified. So if you manage to get your certification about Apache Cassandra, so whether as a developer or administrator certification, in principle, the Academy, let me write this down. academydatastax.com is for free, and there's a lot of cool material to get ready to take the exam. The exam in itself would have a cost of $100-something just to take the exam. But today, for all of you who attended this workshop, we offer a voucher for free that is good to try and take the exam 2 times in the next 3 months or so. And what I will paste in here in the chat, let's see if this works, is a link with a form that will make it possible for you to get this voucher. And that's something that we highly recommend, because being able to take this exam and becoming certified might be a huge boost to your career if you work with databases, with NoSQL databases in particular. So yeah, that's something we suggest. And yeah, that's it. I wanted to say this about the voucher. And we run a lot of workshops, usually several per week. And I want to give you also a link to get informed about our future workshops. So yeah.
Cool.
And maybe if you want to subscribe to this channel, there's a lot of cool stuff, past, present, and future. So be welcome. And I think that's it. Was there something else? So the Discord community, we gave the link already, but I'll paste it again because that's in a sense, that's our main point of contact for communication with developers.
And I think if you, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Talking over you, but if you finished homework, you can also get a badge that you can put on your LinkedIn, things like that. Those are immensely valuable as well.
Yeah, I think that's it. So I hope it's been fun, but also that you learned a lot. It's been quite a ride. Thank you, Rags.
Yeah, no, I really want to thank everybody. First, I want to thank all of you for attending. But I also want to thank Stefano because it's 11 o'clock his time and he's still, cracking jokes, having fun. But that's kind of what we look forward to. We look forward to the conversation with you guys and hope to see you soon.
Yes.
Some part of the world somewhere.
Yes.
With that said,
so that being said, I think we can say goodbye and see you next time, right?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Oh, thank you.
Some music. Bye-bye.
And as always, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell to get notifications for all of our future upcoming workshops.
A being gifted with powers from the goddess of Cassandra, who grew those powers until she could multiply at will, move with limitless speed, and unmask hidden knowledge. With those powers, she was able to fully understand the connectedness of the world. What she saw, understanding. From that day forward, she sought to